So here we go, this is the first part of the filming, and what I'm going to show you now is taken from a workshop that I did, and it's about standing, it's about confidence. It uses the Amy Cuddy's power pose, but I thought I'd do some experimentation myself, which I talk about being strength and stamina. However, this very first simple technique will really help move that confidence of yours to the next level. So enjoy. Amy Cuddy has an absolutely fantastic TED Talk, and I highly recommend that you put it on if you. It's really entertaining, and this is about how you stand, how you have presence. Now, Amy Cuddy, she was going to go to college, and she was always interested in science and psychology, and she wasn't quite sure what she wanted to do, but on a summer holiday, or vacation as she calls it, she was involved with a traumatic head injury. And during this head injury, she actually dropped some IQ points, and she freely admits that the IQ points aren't anything to really measure yourself by, but for her, it was her own self-image, it was her identity, being a real clever person. And she was told at this point that, you know, you're going to be pretty much fine after the head injury, but going to college, I wouldn't think about it if I was you. Just get yourself a normal job and you'll have a really happy life. But she wasn't contented by that. And it became her passion to find out about the brain, because she was really interested in what happened to herself. Now, she noticed that when she was doing, because she, over trial and error, she became a psychologist. And while she was doing her psychology and she was doing her trainings, she was doing her lectures, part of what she had to assess the students on was their interaction between her. And she was noticing that the people that had expansive body language, they often would be the ones asking questions, or they would be the one that would be interacting as well and come up with ideas, whereas she knew that every single one of them was intelligent, but that they weren't asking, and she thought she'd have to do something about this. And as I know through NLP, and she says as well, people that often feel down, they look down. And she was curious to know, because then she went to Joe Navarro, who was an FBI agent, body language expert, that she started talking to him about this after the seminar that she went to, and was saying, well, if people that aren't feeling very confident start to shrink in on themselves, if you reverse this, if you actually start to expand your body language, your posture, will this automatically make you feel more confident? Because they do say the mind and body affect each other. Which Joe Navarro, and he was also very successful when he was in the FBI, there was only 3 people that he couldn't get through to. He said, well, nobody's actually done the research on this to see if body language shapes your confidence if you change your body language, but now's an ideal time to go ahead and research it yourself. So she did. So on here, this is actually Amy Cuddy's slides now. The top slides are what she calls high power poses. So this is people that expand their body language, either sitting down with their hands behind their head. Below is low power poses. And the low power poses are the people that were in her classes not engaging with her, not talking. So to see whether the body language, the way you stand, the way you interact with each other would affect your confidence, she decided to set up an experiment. She got a group of volunteers, and these volunteers were told that you have to be given 5 minutes to do a 5-minute presentation about your ideal dream job, as if you're actually going for it. And you can't make anything up whatsoever. You have to be completely and utterly truthful. Now, they wanted to make it to really test to see if it helped the confidence. They went and decided to make it as stressful as possible. So the people were assessing, they had 2 people assessing, and they had to go, yes, you would get the job, or no, but the people who were on the stage didn't get to know if they were chosen or not until after. They would just say to Amy Cuddy or somebody else doing the assessment, yes or no. But these people who were assessing them were trained to give no signals away whatsoever. They had to just hold a blank expression, a little bit probably like these two, which is worse than somebody showing content while somebody's there, somebody rolling their eyes or shaking their head, because you've got nothing to have any feedback from, and that just really puts people at edge. So before either of these volunteers, they were split into two groups, and they were all randomly selected, and the people going in onto the stage were randomly selected. But one group of people, they had to stand in what's kind of been told like the superhero pose. So that's hands on the hips, expanding your body language. You could do other things as well, but this hands on the hips tends to be quite expansive, arms akimbo. They had to do this 2 minutes just before they went out on stage. The other group of people were told to be very submissive. They were told to have a low power pose. So that was really going down low, shrinking themselves, making themselves as small as possible. Each were given exactly 2 minutes to stand in this posture or lie or be in this one of these postures just before going out on stage. And after it had finished and they counted up all the scores, every single person that stood in the high power pose would go, yes, we would give you the job. Everybody who was in the low power pose was told no, they wouldn't hire them. Although people may showed some nerves, they showed a lot more presence, and they were able to flow a lot more better in presenting themselves. But it doesn't just affect confidence. Just 2 minutes of standing in the power pose, or starfishing up as yours calls as well, expanding your body language. When having swabs taken and they analysed it, testosterone rose and cortisol, the stress hormone, dropped. And that was from standing in the power pose. When they actually were in the submissive pose, the cortisol rose, the stress hormone, and the testosterone dropped. But I wanted to see whether because we're talking about confidence, but it can help in so many different areas of your life, if by standing confidently for 2 minutes it affected your stamina and your strength. Now one of the exercises is called slam ball. Anybody go to the gym here by any way? No, okay. A slam ball is about a football basketball size, and it's a weighted ball, and it's designed in such a way that when you slam this ball down, that it doesn't bounce and roll off anywhere. And each volunteer, I got 6 volunteers to get involved with this. This isn't one, this is just taken from Google. But each of these volunteers chose the weight that they felt comfortable with. So this wasn't being macho, it was just to see what weight they were comfortable with. And the idea was to twice do slam balls. So every single time a ball would go on the ground. So the exercise you do is you've got the ball in front of you, you bend down, you pick up the slam ball, and you have to put it behind your head, like as you can see here, and then slam the weighted ball down. Again, picking up behind your head, slamming down. Each and every single time that the ball hit the ground, that would count as one slam. If somebody just picked it up and just did this and didn't do the movement properly, that would count as it wasn't accepted. We timed exactly 1 minute twice with the 6 volunteers. The first time, I went and got them to go in a low power pose, or as I also sometimes call it, a submissive pose. Now, like Amy Cuddy's work, when she told people to stand with their hands on their hips or in a powerful posture, she didn't actually tell the people, no, I want you to stand like a superhero, I want you to stand bigger, and because she didn't want to have any of that verbal clues suggesting anything to them about confidence. So the same here, I just showed them some pictures and demonstrated how I wanted them to stand. I mean, they were kind of very much like this, so
I think that probably gave it away that it was quite a submissive pose. But I just told them to be in a low power pose for 2 minutes. Then we did the slam ball test. So the group of 6, the total in the submissive, the low power pose, was 181 slams altogether. I then got them to be in a higher power pose for 2 minutes afterwards, and I purposely made sure that the higher power pose was the second one, because if I did the high power pose first then the submissive, and the results did show that they created more slams, people could say, well, they were obviously just tired by the time they did the second experiment. So the second one, which was just called position 2, after standing it in for just 2 minutes, in the dominant that rose to an impressive 213 slams that as a group they were able to do. So that was just under 18% improvement.